And let's head to Westminster, where we're joined by Transport Minister Richard Holden. Good morning to you, Richard. So first of all, let's talk about these plans for house building, if we can. Seems to be quite a war breaking out here between the NIMBYs in the Tory party and Keir Starmer, who said, let's throw open the green belt.
Well, I'll just say this about Keir Starmer. About 2 weeks ago, he was saying we should never build anything on the Greenbelt. Now he's saying something completely different. This man has flip-flopped, more than times than I've had pints of beer in my local pub, right? He is really not on across any of the detail. He just makes it up as he goes along. He's just like one of those very expensive human rights lawyers who likes to make a different case every time he's got a different jury there. He used to be backing Jeremy Corbyn in his shadow cabinet. Then he was praising Jeremy Corbyn when he got the leadership of the Labour Party and made all those pledges. Now he's dumping all of those. I think we need to take anything that Keir Starmer says with a very big pinch of salt in this space.
OK, well, what about specifically what Michael Gove is proposing? He's already tried to tackle the issue of housing and had a bit of a flop from his backbenchers, nobody wanting it in their backyard. Will he have more success with these rent reforms? It's not being completely embraced by the party, is it?
Well, look, I'd just say over the last 10 years, we've built 2.2 million homes right across the UK. And actually, let's look where Labour are in power here in London. Actually, the highest both house starts and house completions were under that's Conservative Mayor of London. We've seen when Labour are actually in power, they don't actually do what they say they want to do, which is quite clear when you've got Sadiq Khan here in London. But just onto the renters reform areas. Look, I rented a house until I was in my mid-30s. I think sensible changes to say that people should be able to have pets, should be able to have children in their own home, I think is perfectly reasonable. I think getting rid of no-fault evictions is sensible. But I think on the other side, I've also got issues when constituents come to me and say they've got a neighbour who the landlord's finding it really tough to get rid of, who's causing massive antisocial behaviour locally. I think that balance of being able to get rid of the person causing antisocial behaviour, but otherwise people should be able to have the peace and enjoyment of their own home, is really sensible and balanced reforms from Michael today.
OK, so Richard, we saw Rishi Sunak puffing up his chest, talking tough to the Council of Europe on allowing us transparent and effective deportations of illegals. Do you think they'll listen to him?
Oh, well, I think so. I think the Article 39 elements around the Council of Europe. I was actually a member of the Council of Europe as a backbench MP when Russia invaded Ukraine, and actually working together we can get some of these things sorted out. We certainly had a cohesive response then. I'm hoping that they'll listen to us now. But the truth is that the Prime Minister's really trying to deal with some of these big issues, these 5 priorities he's got. One of them is obviously stopping the boats, but another one is around the big issue that I'm involved in at the moment, which is around tackling inflation. One of the things that we're trying to do at the moment in the Department of Transport is keep those costs, particularly for transport users, as low as possible. I've got a lot of low-paid workers in constituencies like mine in North West Durham, and we're trying to get that £2 bus fare there. We've extended it already to the end of June. We're now extending it to the end of October with a £2.50 bus fare all the way through to the back end of next year as well. So we're really looking to screw down on those costs wherever we can. That's on top of also cutting fuel duty by 5 pence a litre. That's a £4.5 billion tax cut for everybody in the country. And for rail commuters, keeping rail price rises significantly below inflation. So we really are trying to help right across the board. And this is something that the Prime Minister has been doing for quite a long time. If you think around that most households will have seen about £1,500 off their energy bills over the winter because of the extra government support we've put in. That's building on the strong work that he did during the pandemic, supporting people with schemes like furlough, supporting businesses. So, I'd say that we're right there concentrating on the issues that matter to the British people despite those global headwinds. And one of those very much around the economy, but others, yes, you're absolutely right to concentrate on us needing to stop the boats and tackle illegal migration as well.
It's interesting how £2 bus fares sounds great, but there's nothing, and no such thing as a free lunch in politics. £500 million this is going to cost. And isn't there a feeling, Richard, that basically the bankroll of transport comes from the motorist who gets hammered on clean air taxes, gets hammered all across the board on extra fines, on smart motorways that are anything but smart. So isn't this take from the motorist to fund public transport? And why is there such a war on motorists?
Well, I certainly wouldn't say that. One of the big things that we've done over the last few years, as I've said, is that big 5p of fuel duty, a £4.5 billion tax cut, which, yes, does help motorists, but helps everybody because everything has to be shipped by road in the country as well. So it's going to help over time with reducing food inflation as well. And I just say on the buses that what I want, that these things travel on roads as well. They're our most used form of public transport. What I want to see, and they're also used particularly by lower paid workers, older people who've got their free bus passes as well. This is money that we've found from inside the department. Me and the Transport Secretary have been shaking all of the cash we can out of projects which we don't think are necessary and targeting it on cost of living support through this measure, and also on ensuring that bus routes are still there as well. So it's around £200 million for the bus fare cap and £300 million over the next 2 years for support for bus routes right across the country. And when you talk about motorists, what I don't want to see is bus routes go and then more people in their cars causing congestion for motorists either. So I think this can be a win for motorists as well. And we're not putting up any taxes. We're not having to borrow any more money to deal with it.
You could always shake more cash out of your magic transport tree if you were to scrap HS2, but that's a whole other topic. Just on buses, I mean, look, a lot of people will welcome the freezing of bus fares at £2 until the autumn. We know how hard it is for people at the moment, and as you say, often people on the lowest incomes are using them. But why are you allowing 1 in 7 bus routes to be closed, particularly in rural areas? They're a lifeline. Absolutely, they need to be protected.
No, well, that's what would have happened if we hadn't stepped in with this support, and this is a 2-year support, which is crucial. What I would say is look at the difference between what we're doing in England as the Conservatives, compared to what the devolved governments are doing around bus routes in Wales and in Scotland. In Wales, they've not got any of this support there beyond July. They're choosing different priorities, like stopping all road building totally. And we all know buses travel on roads, so this will have a big impact on our bus routes and things like that in Wales as well. In Scotland, they've not put that support in there like we have in England. They're choosing different priorities, probably spunking money up the wall on things like more independence referendums. That's not what we want to see. I want to see this government and the entire country concentrating on the things which matter to people. That's tackling the cost of living, just like we're doing in terms of cutting bus fares, keeping them down for the long term for people, providing cash to support bus routes right across the country, but also helping all transport users with that 5p off fuel duty, and also the keeping rail fares rises below inflation. I think that's the sort of action that people want to see, which is part of why I think when people look again at the Labour Party, who we can see flip-flopping every single week from side to side on all the big issues of the day, what they want to see is somebody with a solid plan to get inflation under control, deliver growth in the economy, keep debt under control, tackle waiting lists, and also, crucially, stop the boats as well. And that's what the Prime Minister's doing, is delivering on those priorities, which are the people's priorities.
OK, Richard, as somebody who was elected in the West Midlands, where HS2 runs through, let me tell you, a lot of Tory councillors voted for my party because we wanted to scrap HS2. £100 billion to simply get people to London 10 minutes sooner. Can we finally admit it's been the biggest waste of money in British transport history?
Look, I think all of these big transport projects always come under a lot of scrutiny. I was up in Skipton recently, where I grew up, and saw that the Leeds-Liverpool Canal took around 60 years to build, 4 times over budget, all that sort of thing, but you wouldn't remove it now. When we're looking at these big capital infrastructure projects, we have to take a very, very long-term view on them, and that's what I'd say around HS2. But what I'm concentrating on as Roads and Buses Minister is trying to provide that immediate support for families right across the country who are facing really tough times at the moment, and that's why the extension of the £2 bus scheme, but also in the longer term looking at how we can maintain as many routes as possible. That's what I'm concentrating on. I want as many measures as possible there to deal with the cost of living that normal people in constituencies like mine, but right across the country, are facing, and that's what my priorities are over the next few years.
Richard Holden, Transport Minister, thanks very much indeed for your time.